Suave.
I've been in my bag for a while, I'm invincible. Story of a young boss, grinding shit get critical. Calling on my bros one time, cause you special. I had some hoop dreams to write rounds for my mentor. Every target that I shoot is on point like a pencil. Different route, change relationships, I'm so sorry. Came up from the trenches and I made it, I say hardly. Now
Bet Online is your #1 source for all of your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. Bet Online continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. Alrighty, guys, we are back with another episode of the What's in Your Bag podcast presented by Bet Online. As always, I'm your host, Andrew Robinson. And before we get into our guest today, we got to handle the business, get that out the way. That was my guy, Pull Up Tay, on the intro. It's going to be him again on the outro as well. Make sure you guys are streaming his music. One of the hottest artists out of the DMV just dropped the album. So make sure you guys go tap into that. Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, the whole 9 yards. Speaking of YouTube, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, go ahead and stop what you're doing. Tap that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. It goes a long way. Go ahead and do that now. We're on the road to 10K, man. We just hit 8.6K subscribers. So we're going to go ahead and knock that out by the end of the summer. So go ahead and tap that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up, man. It goes a long way. If you're hearing this on Spotify or Apple Music, give us a 5-star rating. Drop a comment. Show us some love, man. Give us some feedback. We appreciate it, all feedback, positive and negative, man. You know what I'm saying? It's all a growth opportunity at the end of the day. But now that we got the business out the way, man, it's time to introduce our guest. This is somebody who, I've been back and forth with trying to get on for a little while, man, and pleased to be able to get it done. This is somebody who just got finished covering, the NBA Finals, working with the Miami Heat. Also got to mention, he has some championship pedigree. Also was a part of that Baylor University team that won a Natty chip back in 2021. So my man got some championship pedigree. We're honored to have him on, Trey Mena. So thank you for coming on with us today, Trey.
Come on, man. Appreciate you having me, my man. Pleasure to be here.
No doubt, man. Definitely, it's an honor to have you on as well, man. Before we get into the nitty-gritty and talk about your story, man, just talk to me about right now. Obviously, it's the off season. Obviously, I know as a player myself, once that season's over, the off season, you like, man, thank God, can finally rest. I'm like out there in Miami. Just talk about the off season. How's life now that you got a second to kind of just digest everything from the season?
Yeah, man. Dude, the off season is an interesting time. It is a chance to finally catch your breath because obviously there's no games. But man, the crazy part is we played our last game on I think it was June 12th, maybe, and the draft was June 22nd. So it's not a ton of time off, but right now I'm going to catch my breath a little bit, getting ready to head out to Summer League next week out in Vegas. And get right back to it. But got a little bit of time to kind of catch my breath, get back a little bit, dive into some creative things that I want to do. But yeah, man.
Yes, sir. Now, have you kind of had a chance to digest at all, like the season or process it? Obviously the Heat had a crazy run. I don't know if I mentioned this in your intro. Obviously, my guy does, photography and videography for the Miami Heat. If I let that out of the intro, but I feel like if you're watching this, you probably already know that. But have you had a chance to kind of just reflect on the season and just the improbable run that the team was able to make this year?
Man, I've done my best, but it's been tough, man. Just how many moments there were. I go back and just rewatch, whether it's, I don't know, some YouTube clips of our full run and going back and scrolling through moments that I shot. But I mean, it was just such a wild ride, man. And I've gotten to spend some time thinking about it and dwelling on how special it was, but I don't think I'll ever be able to fully encapsulate what happened in that run because man, oh man, that was freaking ride. But yeah.
That's special. Now we're gonna get into all that, man, but I think we're gonna save that for a little bit later because I want to kind of rewind a little bit and get into kind of your journey into photography. Now also you were a hooper, you know what I'm saying? So I kind of want to talk about that because I know you played basketball in college as well at Trinity International. So Chris, talk to me about just your basketball career, how you got into the game and just your time at Trinity playing basketball as well.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, as you know, obviously you play pro ball. Like basketball was my whole life growing up. In high school, it was like I'm getting a scholarship or bust. And I was blessed to get a little NAIA offer to go out to Trinity International. It's just north of Chicago. Went out there, and honestly, the whole ride was wow. Because I thought I was going to start, thought I was going to be the man, and I ended up getting redshirted. And that kind of like set me back mentally, not like in a bad way, but like in a step back of like, okay, what do I want to do long term? Because it made me think like, okay, do I really want to spend 5 years at this small school? And then who knows what? And I feel like God really opened my eyes to being like, hey man, like might be time after this year. What else like see what else I got for you. So I finished out that year redshirted, and it was a blessing. Or like to be a college athlete, like even though it was a small school and I wasn't even playing, but it was a blast, man. But after that, I had a lot of good friends down at Baylor in Texas, and so just transferred, just went. And that summer was actually when I bought my first camera. I bought like this crappy little Canon T5i for $150 off my ex's little sister. And I just wanted to capture memories with my friends. Yeah, when I got to Baylor, my old AAU coach, I played for Earl, or I guess it's West Coast Elite now, growing up down in Southern California. He found out I was going to Baylor, and him just being the networker and playmaker he is, he was like, nah, man, let me get you a walk-off spot. Like you ain't done. You ain't done.
Yeah.
I don't know, but all right. So he ended up getting me a spot as like a practice player / manager. I was like playing a lot of defense, wiping up sweat. And it was fun. It was fun. And that started my relationship building at Baylor. But at the end of the year, I was like, man, I need to do something else. Like I came here to stop being on a team. And the last game of the season, of the Baylor season that year, I was one of the guys that sat behind the hoop and would go wipe up soap and people fall. So I'm like sitting right there, and a girl from my math class is sitting on the baseline taking photos of the game. I was like, oh, what's up? Like, that's dope. Like, I kind of take photos too. She goes, literally her first sentence, sweet, you want a job? It's like, sure. Literally, bro, like that. Like a week later, I was working for Baylor Athletics doing photography for all sports. And that initial story just kind of is like the punchline for my whole career. Like I've just been blessed. Like right place, right time. Like guys are like, I got you. Like let's roll. And so that's what I did my junior year. Photography for all Baylor Athletics. I mainly shot football and basketball. And because that is my second year around the team, building relationships with coaches, managers, staff, players. And yeah, got grinding on that. That's when I also started kind of messing around with video, shooting high school games and stuff. But at the end of my junior year, that's when COVID hit. COVID hits, and at the pinnacle of it was all the Baylor men's basketball players want highlight tapes, and the people at Baylor Creative weren't making them for them. So like, oh, Trey's a camera guy, you make them. I'm like, all right, bro, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't really do this. I made them. They sucked at looking back, but the guys loved them. They all posted them, and I got fired because my boss at Baylor Creative fired me. He was like, "You are going above your reach. This is so like you're being selfish, yada yada yada, all that kind of stuff." I was like, "Dang, man, all right." Coach AD, he was director of basketball ops at the time. He's actually now working for the Suns. Found out, and he was like, "Nah, that ain't cool." And this was right when NIL is about to get going. So he's like, hey, man, like we're building out this team to create content for our players with NIL in mind. We want you to be the guy, create all the content. And I was like, I'm down, let's do it. And so my senior year, basically my job was like being a branding specialist and creating all the content for the players' accounts. And that was the year we won the national championship. So just another time that God was like, hey, man, like, let's go. I got you. Yeah, so that was like the hoops turning into content, and actually, hold on, I actually got this thing right here, lead into being a part of a national championship team, which was insane. getting me one of these things.
Yes,
Oh, oh,
sir.
come on, where's my name on that mug? Where is it? Mena.
Yes,
Dang.
sir. This the what's in your bag YouTube exclusive. Y'all watching
Yeah.
on yes, sir. Y'all watching on YouTube. Y'all getting the sauce right now. If y'all listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, go ahead and go on YouTube so I can get the visual. Um,
Gotta see the
Dang,
blend.
that's a crazy story, man. That's a crazy story. I feel like I have so many follow-ups based on that. The first one I want to ask is, you know, first of all, man, God works in mysterious ways. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he always points you in the direction that you're supposed to be going, even though sometimes you might be like, man, God, really the direction you want me to go in? So my first
Mhm.
question I want to ask you is, how difficult was it to stop playing basketball, right? And like, when did you know, like, all right, I'm gonna give up hoops and transfer to Baylor and just be a regular student? Because at first you didn't really know if you were gonna, walk on or be a manager, right? So talk me through that decision as far as like, all right, Trey, like, maybe it's time to put the shoes up. Like, what was that decision like for you? You know, how were you able to come to terms with making that choice?
Good question, man. It was through a lot of like sitting, thinking, praying, talking with my pops, and like kind of trying to process my like motives for what I was doing. And obviously, like I freaking love the game of basketball, but I was only playing or like wanting to play like college basketball to like say I did it. It wasn't like my love for. I mean, also my coach had we were practicing at 4 a.m. 3 days a week, so that was another part. Um, but I just realized like it wasn't to I don't know like it was just to prove people wrong was like my desire, which isn't wrong, but like it's not what I should have been basing my life around, you know. And man, it was tough. I just became a rec league hero when I got to Baylor. We ran intramurals, but um, it was tough, man. I mean, obviously you're still playing. Like the game is everything. I've been blessed enough to stay in it, and the cameras kept me in it.
Right.
But him up and just being a guy who plays pickup was a tough jump for sure.
Yeah. Now, my next question is, how did you go from, I just bought this little $150 camera, just taking pictures of my friends, trying to capture moments to like, all right, now you're on the baseline with the shorty from your math class, and she goes, "Oh, you want a job, right?" Like taking pictures for fun and from your friends is different than like, all right, taking professional pictures, of basketball and football, right? So how did you kind of hone in on your skills to actually be able to deliver the product that is necessary at that level? You know what I'm saying? Did it take some type of adjusting? How fast did you kind of realize that, like, all right, this is something that I'm actually good at, right? Like, what was that whole process like during that time?
Yeah. So right before that happened, I had a friend named Cooper Root from high school who did a lot of photography. Um, and I was like, hey, I kind of need to upgrade. What should I get? And he pointed me in the direction of this like little Canon 80D, which is a great starter camera for anyone listening. Um, and I just bought it. I mean, I just all right. It was like, but even then, that was like a $500 camera, which I mean is a lot of money, but when you look at cameras, it's kind of not. But it was all reps, man. I would grab like some of the guys. A guy named King McClure is honestly a huge part of my career. He was 2 years older than me at Baylor, and we just would go shoot. There was like old courts we'd go take flicks at, or I'd come through the workouts in the facility and just take flicks and just started doing it and learning on the fly. And when that jump happened, the funny thing is I had never shot football, and like my first time shooting was like a game, and I was like, oh shoot, I don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Uh, so there was definitely some imposter syndrome at first, but I mean, it's what you just figure it out, man, and just on the fly, like, all right, this is where I got to be. This is what my settings got to be, and um, learning as I went. But I mean, it definitely for football was a jump, but for basketball, it's like, I mean, I literally know our playbook. Like I know where they're going to be when. I know
Right.
what people are doing. I know like all that. But man, definitely a huge learning curve and making that initial jump to being one of the photographers at Baylor.
Yeah. I feel like for me, listening to your story, and I'm just hearing like, all right, uh, finish playing basketball, and then I'm just go to Baylor, right? Well, first of all, what made you go to Baylor in the first place? You said you had friends there. Was it just because of your friends? Like, what was the whole like? What made you go? Because you mentioned you're from SoCal, obviously. So I feel like most people, I'm gonna go back to the crib. I'm going to UCLA or USC. Like, what made you go to Waco, Texas, of all places?
That's an elite question. And Actually, it's because I grew up going to this Christian summer camp in Missouri called Kanakuk. And like everyone who works there, like as a counselor or as a camper, like is from Texas. And so, man, like I swear, like I knew like 200 people at Baylor before I even went there,
Wow.
just because, like, yeah, straight up. And whether, yeah, like girls, guys, older people that could like show me the way, or people my age. Like I went there and like immediately, like I already had like roommates, moved in with roommates, and like it was just like I went and visited one weekend, and just before I transferred, and it was just like, I like know everyone here. Like
Right.
this just makes sense. And it was like, yeah, the culture of Baylor is special too, and you could just feel it. I mean, it's like it's in Waco, so there's nothing going on, and so all you have to do is to like get close with people, and so the relationships there were special for sure. But yeah, definitely random going SoCal to Waco, but it was the right move for sure.
Man. And I feel like, again, like I feel like, I grew up in church as well, man. So my mom, my grandma, shout out to my grandma, my mom, may they rest in peace, man. Like I think that's obviously been the foundation of my life, even into to today. And like I said at the beginning of this podcast, man, like God doesn't make any mistakes. And it's crazy that, you leave, you end up at Baylor, right? And then you fall on this opportunity taking pictures. Not coincidentally, obviously looking at where you're at now, you know what I'm saying? And then you get fired from the job, and he's like, oh, yeah, nah, come to NIL. It feels like it just all just lines up like crazy, you know what I'm saying? It's definitely not a coincidence, but I just want to talk to you about, like, could you ever imagine, like, when you look back at those sequence of events and how they lined up, most people are like, dang, man, like, that sucks. I can't play basketball anymore. Dang, that sucks. I got fired from my job, right? But it's crazy because, like, all things work out for your good. You know what I'm saying? And how do you reflect back on those moments that maybe in the moment might have seemed like failures and might have seemed like you're taking a step backwards, but ended up being exactly what needed to happen? How do you kind of reflect on, I guess, all those small moments now?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like being past it, it's easy now. Like to
Right.
be like, oh yeah, like even like I mentioned, I was in San Diego till high school, to move to Orange County. I mean, the reason I moved to Orange County was because my grandpa died, and like at the time, obviously, it was like the worst thing ever. But if I didn't move to Orange County, I wouldn't have made the relationships I did that got me to Trinity. And if I didn't fail at Trinity to like make the team, whatever, be a starter, whatever, even not just be redshirted, I would never have bought a camera. But if I didn't get fired from my job, I would have never won a national championship. It's just like
Right.
all the failures in the moment. It was like a lot of them felt earth shattering. But looking back, man, it's like God, like he knew, he got me, bro. Like I ain't got to trip on that. Like failures, like are needed, and they suck, and it's hard. But you take a step back and look. I mean, it's been 3 years now since maybe four since I got fired by Baylor. And it's like, yeah, that was the best thing for me. Like that was the best thing that could have happened.
Thanks. It's crazy how that happens, man. I hope that, for the folks that are listening to this, man, they can take that away, man, because I felt there's so many highs and lows in life. There are so many moments that might feel like rock bottom. You mentioned your grandma passing away. I've dealt with loss as well. My mom, both my parents, my father, and it's just all that stuff always works out in some way, shape, or form, for your good. So I hope people that are listening to this can kind of sense that as well. Just keep your head up and keep moving forward.
Oh,
But kind of changing gears a little bit, kind of staying with Baylor though. That team was able to win a national championship that year. And you're a hooper, so we could talk about this, man. I feel like that year, from the outside looking in, I was in the media, before I kind of got into the pro basketball stuff. I was heavy into college basketball. This platform, All Facts Media, we had our own podcast called The Auto Bid at that time, where dissected the mid-major hoops. So by default, we're talking about Gonzaga a lot that year, even though they're not a mid-major. They're in the WCC, so we kind of talked about them regardless. And they were just steamrolling everybody that year. I think they had one loss, and I feel like that was the game that everybody was looking to. Like, all right, Gonzaga, it was like a crash course. And I feel like you guys were supposed to play earlier in the year, but the game got canceled or something due to COVID, if I'm not mistaken. So when you guys met in the national championship, it was like a clash of styles, right? That year, Baylor has obviously Jared Butler, Davion Mitchell, Adam Flagler, Macy O.T. You guys were a super rugged team, right? And Gonzaga was this high-powered offense, obviously with Andrew Nemhard and Drew Timme and Jalen Suggs. And obviously, you guys, I mean, y'all roughed them up, and it was an ugly game. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, you guys won. But just talk about just what was going on from you guys' perspective, because I feel like from outside looking at, everybody was like, "Yeah, guys, they about to get this dub." You know what I'm saying? So, knowing what you know, being on the inside of that team, just talk about that game versus Gonzaga, what you guys' mentality was leading up to that game, and then what you think kind of ended up being the difference between you guys, winning that game, and obviously winning the championship.
Man, the funny thing about that year is there's so many wild parallels to this Heat team, and that I was just with. But dude, everybody was just napping on us. It was like, are y'all not watching us play?
Yeah.
Like, see what's on the floor right now? Like, one, nobody can score on us. Two, you swing it to Davion bucket. You swing it to Jared bucket. You swing it to Flagler bucket. You swing it to Maceo bucket. Then we got LJ Cryer off the bench, who averaged 40 a game in high school. We got our big man Flo in the middle, dunking, and like we're just going in like they don't know what's coming. Like they don't know. They don't. And I remember sitting there watching the Gonzaga UCLA game and just praying that Gonzaga wins. Just like, please let them win. Please let them win it, which is funny because I'm a huge UCLA fan.
Okay.
Like, I'm a ride or die UCLA fan. Like, Jaime Jaquez, that's my guy. But because my pops went there. But I was like, man, we need to play Gonzaga, because if we don't and we don't beat them, everybody's gonna be like, oh, like Gonzaga should have won it, but they got unlucky. Like, it would have been one of those forever.
Right.
Obviously, they got there off Jalen Suggs' incredible shot at the buzzer, but man, we were just like, yeah, they don't know what's about to hit them. They don't know what's about to hit them. They haven't played anybody who's actually going to sit in the stands and play defense. Santa Clara ain't going to guard like we guard. Like, man, we just had some dogs. But the cornerstone of that team, like I mentioned, the similarities was the culture of it. And Scott Drew just embedded in the team culture of joy. And that stands for Jesus, others, yourself. And it was everything. Everyone was riding for each other. And it was like, I don't care who gets the shine, who gets 30 this game or whatever. Like, this is us, and we're doing this to win a natty. And a lot of that stemmed from because the year before got canceled, and we honestly thought we were going to get that one too. Shout out Gillespie and Devontae Bandu, the poor guys who had to graduate off that and didn't get a chance to make the run. But yeah, man, I mean, that team was so special. Just running Indy. Nobody could touch us that year in the tournament. Yeah.
Thanks. No, that was a crazy team. Obviously, being able to capture moments, right? That's what photography is all about. You're capturing moments, and it's art, right? And so you're spending so much time with the players. You're on the road. You're with these guys, practices, games, the whole nine. What would you say is your favorite moment from that season, right? And outside of obviously winning the national championship, because I feel like that's obviously the obvious answer, but outside of winning the national championship, when you look back at just the time that you spent with the guys, what was your favorite moment or most special memory, would you say, from that season?
Man, that's a good question. Just one, golly. Weirdly, I have this memory of it was during the offseason, preseason, and it was a Sunday. And I don't know why, but we had practice. And it was like a month before season, but it was just a dogfight of a practice. Like, dudes diving on the floor for everything. I'm not going to name the second name, but Adam Flagler, like, body bagged someone off a lob. It was like people going at it and like everybody screaming, cheering, yelling. And it was like, man, like, this is it. Like, we're going to win it all. And like, I literally remember sitting like on like I sit crisscross applesauce most of the time I shoot and like filming. Like, oh my God, we got it. And obviously there's like countless memories of the run and the one when we won the Big 12 championship that year. That day was special too. And I mean, obviously the night we won the Natty. But I mean that day, like, I don't remember the date, but it was a Sunday. Me and Jared went to church together before practice, and then we went to practice. And I just remember that day, like, yeah, we got it.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. Before I kind of switch gears to obviously the pro journey, you just mentioned Jared, and I want to ask you something about that, because obviously after that, he enters the NBA draft and he has the heart issue. I believe that kind of was like, oh man, it was kind of a rocky time with his future, and is he going to be able to keep playing? Obviously, he ended up being cleared and getting drafted into the NBA and stuff like that. But what was that time like, for Jared? I feel like you just mentioned you guys were going to church and you were there with them during that time. I feel like as an athlete, to have some news like that threatening to take the game away, when you just won that championship, you're about to take that next step and reach your dreams, right? Like, what was that time like? Can you remember? And if, what was his mind state like? Was he still, positive? Was it kind of, how did he get through those times where it was so much uncertainty, throughout what his future was going to be?
Yeah. So during that time, I actually wasn't with him because it was summer. I was I was back home in California, and I believe he was probably back home too.
Yeah.
Texting with him, like, he was just trying to remain positive, because it's out of his control. And I don't want to speak on his story too much because I know it's a really powerful one that we get a 30 for 30 one day. But just remaining positive because he's a believer too, and so he just knew, like, whatever God's got for me, that's what's going to happen. But I do remember the day it got announced that he was cleared. That was a good day. That was a really good day. But yeah, just remaining positive and controlling what he could control was where he was at.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So kind of switching gears a little bit to the pro journey. I feel like obviously before you got to the Pistons with the Heat, you had a stint with Through the Lens, which obviously was a super creative kind of movement, obviously up there in New York. Just talk about, what Through the Lens is about for people who may not know, and then kind of how that was able to propel you into that whole professional basketball space that you obviously are in now.
Yeah. So I'm going to take a half step behind that even.
Perfect.
So 3 days before or during my senior year, I joined a guy named David Sosna's mentorship program. And at the time, he was a creative producer for the Cavs, living in Cleveland. And he started his creative mentorship program just to teach kids like me at the time, like, hey, this is what you need to be able to do to get the NBA. This is what you need to be able to do to work with NBA athletes. All that good stuff. Which I've actually reopened my program doing the same thing now. But I joined this program and we just got tight, man. Like, that was my dog. We actually randomly had some mutual friends through the camp, Kanakuk I mentioned, because he's from Kansas City. I just got tight. Ended up going out to Cleveland to kind of like shadow him and watch him shoot a game for the Cavs. Watched him edit like in his apartment and just got close. A job he had previously was actually running content for Alex Bazell and working for Through the Lens. And so when I'm coming up to graduate, I've been grinding on applications, obviously, but the only job offer I had was to run content for a sneaker show in DC, actually. And I just didn't want to do it. Like, it was $50K to move to DC, and it wasn't basketball. It just didn't feel right. But it was the only job offer I had. So I remember, like, I had to call David, like, hey man, like, this is all I got. Like, I think I got to do it. And he was like, no, be patient. One thing about this, like, this world, don't settle because you feel like you have to. Like, life's too short. And I was like, all right, man. And 3 days before I graduated, he's like, hey, we're hopping on a call at 11 a.m., whatever it was. Make sure you're there. I'm like, all right. And it didn't really tell me much else. Get on the call, and it's me, him, and Alex Bazell. And they're like, hey, you want to run Alex's content this summer? And Alex is like a top tier NBA trainer, and based in New York. He's the founder and co-founder of Through the Lens. I was like, F it, man, let's go. 10 days after that, so 7 days after I graduate, 10 days after I find out about the job, I'm packing up and moving to New York, just like that. And we out. And so another situation where God was like, I got you. Stop stressing. Like, I got you. And so I went, joined Alex running his personal content, but also joined Through the Lens, as you mentioned, which at the time was like masterclass, but for basketball skills. And so we had guys like Carmelo Anthony, Trey Young, Candace Parker, among others, doing skills courses. And so you would pay to subscribe and learn how to play basketball from literally the best in the game. Right. Now they're kind of rebranding their company and going another way. But Man, that summer, oh my goodness. I mean, I'm sure you know the gym, but the Lifetime Sky Gym in New York, where I mean you see everyone in the world playing in the Black Ops runs. I mean that's an apartment building. Like I lived in that building. Like Alex put me up in that building, and we were in that gym literally every single day. That's like where I was home, and I mean it was nuts. I don't even know where to start. So I mean, for those who don't know, Alex trains Carmelo Anthony, Kyrie Irving, Trey Young, Karis LeVert. And at the time, we had Jonathan Kuminga in the gym. He was running pre-draft for Rock Nation. So guys like Jason Preston were in there. I mean, we were Nerlens Noel. I mean, there was countless dudes coming to the gym. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have got anywhere near that job if it weren't for David Sosna. He's now with the Suns as a senior producer, senior video producer. But yeah, man, that summer was everything.
Crazy. That's crazy. While we're here, I want to talk about you mentioned David Sosna and just the opportunity that he provided you as far as a mentorship and, how without him, you wouldn't even have had the opportunity to work with Alex, and through the lens. And I feel like it's so important in these spaces to have mentors or to have even just more than a mentor, but somebody who can like get you into the door, right? Because at the end of the day, you and I both know, man, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know half the time. You know what I'm saying? And it's like to have somebody that can put you in position to get a job, it's not like you didn't have the skills. Like you obviously had the craft and all you had to do was execute at that point. Talk about just what that meant to you and what he means to you today, just be able to have somebody who, number one, you can learn from, who you were able to learn from, and looking at where you are now, just, how much that opportunity, that relationship, that mentorship opportunity, meant to you.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was everything. And I mean, we still like, I mean, it started with like a 30-minute call and I paid to join his program and just clicked. And he was like, man, hit me if you ever have any questions. And so I did. I mean, whether it was like, what should my shutter speed be when I'm shooting this or shooting here, or whether like, hey man, like I'm struggling mentally with this situation. What do I do? And just him being there like as a guide and just a friend. Even it like whether it's dropping mind blowing advice or just being like, hey man, you're gonna be okay. Like you good. Or literally getting me a job. Everything. I mean, I still talk to him multiple times a week to this day. And it's been probably about 3 years now. Calling him about like, hey man, like I got this going on. What do I do? Whatever. That's my dog. I mean, and if you don't, I'm not like you'll survive without a mentor, but if you don't have guidance and someone looking out for you, like it's hard. And this kind of like space, basketball space, hoop space, creator space, whatever, like it gets rough. Like it does. So having him there for me, kind of guiding the path for me and paving the way has been monumental to say the least. Yeah.
That's amazing. And obviously you now have the opportunity to pay it forward with your own mentorship program. I want to give you opportunity to talk about that a little bit and just, what it means to you now to kind of have that full circle moment to be able to do the same thing for other people that David was able to do for you.
Yeah, man, 100%. I opened my own mentorship program last summer and before I came and joined the Heat and just reopened it now. It's kind of like a summer thing that I get running. So I have some more free time, but man, it's a blessing. And I'm not like in any way claiming like I know it all or I'm the best in the business or anything, but I just know I've been blessed enough to be in a lot of situations that a lot of people hope to be in. And so I just want to do my part to help people get there and share what knowledge I do have to get people there. And whether I know I was just a young kid dreaming one day. So I know there's countless people out there and let people know like, yo, this is possible, man. Like I got here, but I'm still just some dude. Like I'm not anything special. Just worked hard and was blessed. But yeah, definitely cool to be able to have that full circle moment, like you said, and start to get back.
That's amazing, man. Definitely shout out to you for that, because, being somebody who's young, right? It's not like you're an old guy who's on the way out, mentoring people. Like you're still, just getting started in your career, man, in the prime of, what's going to be, a long career in this industry. And for you to be able to pull people up while you're still here is amazing. So I definitely want to just give you your flowers for that. Because not a lot of people that are out here that are doing that and are thinking about other people, in a selfless way. So Definitely gonna let you know that as well. I wanted to ask you, man. Obviously, you mentioned with the opportunity working with Alex and through the lens, you got to work with guys such as Carmelo Anthony. You know, I mentioned I saw you guys were able to, you know, spend a lot of time with him. Talk about him a lot on your Instagram and just time you spend with him and things like that. What does it mean to be able to have a relationship with somebody like Melo, man? Obviously, one of the greatest players of all time. We're going to get into a little bit. Obviously, he just announced his retirement, but before we get into that, just talk about what that relationship is like. You know, with Melo.
Yeah, man. I mean that's like the craziest story of my life. And I've like, oh my goodness. So obviously, as I mentioned, like I was in the gym every day with him. And it was just we were just getting tight, man. It was a mix of I would play pickup all the time with his son. Obviously, I'm in the gym shooting Melo's workouts. But then I got tight with the strength trainer as well, and we would just hang out. We go to the pool. I mean, we just get lunch, kick it, whatever. But the first day Melo came in the gym, obviously I was doing my job, taking pictures. When he left the next day, I posted him, obviously because freaking hype and just took photos of Melo. Saw him. I don't know how he saw him. I had like 3,000 followers at the time. I even still now I don't really have that many followers, but somehow he saw him. I guess he checks his tags or something. I don't know. But he came up to me the next day and was like, "Yo, man, those flicks were dope. Like, can I get those?" And he posted them, tagged me, and oh my god, that was one of the best days of my life. But we just kept rolling, man. I mean, in the gym with him every day. There was stuff going on. There was a Black Ops run he was playing in, and it was like him, J. Cole. I don't even remember who else. It's too many names, but those were the biggest two. Yeah. And he told Garson, who's a strength trainer, Garson Grant, like, "Yo, tell Trey to come down," because he knew I live upstairs. I was like, "Bet." Came down, flicked him up, and got to meet people like Chris Brickley and J. Cole and a bunch of other guys. And then the next day, he has a Men's Health magazine shoot on the same floor, because he's actually a co-owner of that gym, which a lot of people don't know, but so he can do whatever he wants on it. Yeah. And he's like, "Yo, make sure Trey comes through again." Came through, and actually at this point, I still didn't know that he knew my name. But then there's another Black Ops run. Even though I'm in the gym with him all the time, I never was like, "Hey, like it's Carmelo Anthony." I don't expect him to know my name. Yeah. And there's another Black Ops run. I go take pictures, and I'm like kind of at the end of it, I'm like dapping people up, about to leave, and I dap Melo up, I dap Cayenne up, and as I'm walking away, Melo goes, "Yo, Trey." And this is the first moment like I found out he knew my name. I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yo, you get some good pics today?" I was like, "Yeah, I think I do all right." He's like, "Yo, let's text him to me." He's like, "You got my number?" I was like, "No, you're Carmelo Anthony. Why would I have your number?" And he was like, "Yo, take it down." And gives me his number. And so I texted him the pics later. He was like, he hit me back. He's like, "Yo, good looks." Nuts. And so about after like 3 more weeks go by, we're about to head to LA. We had finished our time kind of like in New York. We're about to head to LA because that's where Kyrie liked to train, and Melo was going to come out too. And oh man, there's another story I skip, but basically I was in the gym the day with Melo the day he announced he was going to the Lakers, and I was wearing a Lakers hat and whatever. But he was like, "Yo, nice hat," before he announced. Then like an hour later he announced. I was like, I get it now. But so we're going to LA, and I had been doing photo and video at all the workouts, and I was like, "Man, let me cook something up, make a little mixtape for Melo of like all the workouts," which wasn't like a part of my job responsibilities. I was just supposed to make content for Alex. Right. I was like, let me whip this up. I make it, show it to Garson, his strength trainer. He's like, "Yo, this is gas. We got to get this to Melo. Send it to him now." I'm like, I don't want to wait. I don't know. I don't want to like press him. He's like, "Nah, man, we got to get to him." I was like, "I'm gonna hold off for now." We get to LA, and Garson came as well, and we're in the gym. And Garson's like, we're like standing there. Melo is like, before the workout, Melo's like about to like put his shoes on, and Garson goes, "Yo, Mel, like Trey made this highlight tape of you. Like you got to see it. It's dope." I'm like, hey man, like
blow the spot up.
But I mean, just another situation where someone's just looked out for me. And just it didn't benefit him at all doing that. And just looked out for me because I mean, Garson's the man. Shout out Garson. I don't know if you ever will watch this, but Actually, I'm gonna text it to you. You watch this.
Thanks.
So I went and showed him. He's like, "Yo, this is fire." He's like, "Let me get it." Send it to him. He posts it, tags me, and obviously then post it and goes nuts because Carmelo Anthony has 8 million followers. And but what came of that is his Melo, one of his best friends from childhood, saw it. Scott Draper, and he was like, "Yo, this is fire." He comes to the gym a couple of days later. He's like, "Yo, that video you made, that was sick. Melo needs more of that." Yeah, yeah. I was like, "Man, like I think the same. Like creative video is what's coming up these days. Like going into this year, I think it's really what he needs." And so we're in the gym a little bit more. A couple more days go by, and there's a pickup run that Alex is hosting, like a private run at Beverly Hills High School. And I mean, this run was fire. I mean, Melo, Trey Young, Kyrie, Jaime Jaquez actually came through, was playing. Emmanuel Hansel was there. I mean, it was lit. And after the run, Karis was playing too. It was actually Karis LeVert's birthday. And kind of the same story. I was in the gym with him every day, so we got tight. I'm over just sitting with Karis, just kind of talking about, I don't know, whatever, just talking. And my phone starts going crazy, like, buzz, 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 like going nuts. Yo, man, like, and it's not calls, it's like text. I'm like, yo, leave me alone. Look at my phone and it's Garson. He's like, yo, come over here right now. Come over here right now. Get your ass over here. I'm like, what? All right, well, I'm coming. So I walk across the gym. And as I'm walking over, Alex whispers me, he's like, yo, like, I think Melo wants to take you on a trip. So what you mean he wants to take me on a trip? And I walk up to Mel and I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, what's up? And I'm like, you tell me, dog. And he goes, you trying to come to Cabo? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, bet. I'm gonna have my people text you. And man, I was like, what is going on? I'm like a 21-year-old kid, just left Baylor, Waco, Texas, and Carmelo Anthony's telling me he's trying to take me to Cabo with him to do content for him. What? And so literally right after that, equally as crazy, I'm driving to a house to go to Careless LeVert's birthday party. Equally as crazy. I'm in his car just like shaking. Like, God, what are we doing, man? What's going on here? Like, why are you letting me do this stuff, man? And I remember that night freaking out. He was like, I'm gonna get the flights booked for you and we'll send you the info. And I was like, oh frick. My legal name isn't Trey. My legal name is Victor. I'm Victor Mena the third, so I'll go by Trey. But if he books his flight under Trey, like I can't fly it. Ironically, it didn't matter because we flew private. But I texted him and I'm like, hey, just so you know, my legal name is Victor Mena. If you're booking anything, he goes, haha, okay, Victor. Making fun of me, and I'm like, hey man, that's my legal name. I don't know what you want me to do. It's my pop. But yeah, so like 4 days later, I'm hopping on a PJ with Melo and his three of his best friends from childhood. It's just the five of us. And I'm like this 21-year-old kid, no idea what's going on. They're playing cards on the plane. I'm just shooting it all. Yeah, so we're in Cabo for a week. Made him a workout. He did like a little run workout on the beach. Made a video of that. Obviously got him some flicks and got the people some flicks. We're doing dinners, boats. Man, I literally like was racing Melo on jet skis, like side by side, like who can go faster? Like that was one moment I remember looking over. I'm like, holy shit, what is my life? Just so blessed, man. Made a recap video that actually hasn't seen the light of day. The only people that have seen it are the people on the trip. With him actually just retiring, I'm about to re-edit it and finally put it out for the world, for the public. But yeah, nuts. I mean, a million stories from that trip alone. But the trip's starting to wrap up, and while we're on the trip, I was grinding, but we were having a lot of conversations like, what would it look like to extend this full time? And this was like, I think it was August. And so it wasn't too far out for him moving to LA, about to start with the Lakers. And he was like, I'm down, like to bring you on full time. But it was kind of like, I don't know what it's going to look like, and moving to LA, I don't know what the situation is going to be like in Braun's locker room. I don't know how he's going to feel about that kind of stuff. And obviously Melo could do whatever he wanted. Like it wasn't like that. But I kind of felt at peace about like, hey, like I think he's just supposed to go like do this year, and what else will come will come. And I was interviewing with NBA teams at the time, and it felt right. But when he came back from there, he had just finished writing his book, and he was having a book release like week. And because when you release a book, there's only like a really short amount of time you have to become a New York Times bestseller. And so you have to like grind on marketing like for that. I think it's like a week or something, maybe 2 weeks, whatever. But so he was doing like a book release tour, doing events all over New York. And he was like, "Yo, come cover it for me." I'm like, bet. Met with his marketing team, made a little plan, and it was 3 events in 3 days. And each day after the event, I was editing pictures and then editing a recap video of the event so it could be posted the next morning to hype up the next event. Bang, 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 and then each day. What's crazier is each night, like he was bringing me back to the crib to have dinner, like with his family at the table, and countless, memories hanging with Kai and Cayenne, and such a blessing. It was funny. A lot of fans were like giving him stuff, like random little like hats and shit they made, and this dude gave him this one little random like hat. And it's not like a cool hat. It's just like some fan had made a hat. It's not even Melo related. And I just remember Melo takes it, throws it at me. He's like, "Don't ever say I didn't do anything for you." Just mess with me. But another for the YouTube people, another visual. This is the book where tomorrows aren't promised, and the marketing worked. New York Times bestseller. I'm actually gonna open it, but that was nuts, man. That was such a blessing. Man, yeah, it was unreal.
That is crazy. That is crazy. As you're opening it up, and getting ready to show us the ooh, look at that. Sheesh.
He said, to Trey, thanks for coming along on this journey. More to come. Stay mellow.
Man. Part of a New York Times bestseller, like you contributed to that. That is crazy to even say, right? And I didn't even know that. Man, that's wild. So before we I feel like I have a bunch of follows, but what is your favorite Melo story from the vacation? A funny moment. Just what is your favorite story that you can give us from hanging with Melo? Would you say?
Golly, good question. Beating his ass in spades was pretty fun. Hearing, oh my God, so many stories. Hearing the truth of the banana boat story.
Oh, what was the truth? Did Ron really save his life?
Yes. Bro, saved his life. He actually ended up talking about it on oh God, what's Matt Barnes' podcast called?
All the smoke.
All the smoke. He ends up telling the full story on there later too. But that was hilarious. But nah, for sure the jet ski moment I talked about. Like just all of it, man. I was on like a yacht with him, like just we were in the house, staying, eating at meals together, like working out together. It was just every second. But definitely like the most surreal one was like I'm riding on a jet ski and like I'm racing Carmelo Anthony. Like it was just like, man, what in the world, bro?
Thank God he didn't fall off, and maybe you'd have had to save him. That might have been a little different situation.
Oh, goodness, man. Get your big ass back on this jet ski, man. Come on, you got a season to play.
Man, obviously he just retired, right? And I feel like, so funny story for you, not funny story, but it's crazy. I feel like it's such a small world. So I have an older brother. His name is Billy Edlin. He went to Syracuse. Him and Carmelo were roommates in 2003 when they won a national championship. So I actually had a chance to meet Melo because I played AAU for Team Melo back in 2015. So I met him, Lala, Melo at the dinner table, man, like literally sitting across me. I'm like, damn, I'm at dinner with Melo and Lala. It's wild. If I look up my Twitter, man, Lala was tweeting about me, man. It's crazy. I swear on everything. But anyway, that's story for another day. It's crazy though because just being able to chop it up with Melo out in Vegas at the tournament with Team Melo, man, he's a great guy. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like the NBA, he has this narrative around him. he's this, he's that. People talk about, you know, how good of a if he's a good teammate or this and that, right? And obviously he just retired, right? And I feel like the stories now are going to be told about how special Melo truly was, what he meant to the game. He's ninth all time in scoring in league history, right? What do you think is something that maybe is misconstrued about Melo as far as the way people view him? People always throw out the fact, oh, he didn't win a championship. Is Melo a winner, right? Like, what do you think is something, having spent so much time with Melo, that is misconstrued that you think that people need to know? Obviously, now that he decided to hang up the shoes.
Yeah, man. I mean, you kind of hit on it. Like, people just questioned his character, his whole career. Like, is he a good teammate? Like, is he this? Is he that? And it's like, man, like, this is like one of the best dudes I've ever met.
Yeah.
Like, more caring, more looking out. Like, he cared way more about like what was going on with everybody else than anything, man. I mean, like, he literally was like, when I took, this is a whole nother Lena story, but like, I took my job to go be a photographer here for the Heat, and I was with him, and he was like, dude, team photographer for an NBA team, that's got to be like the coolest job ever. Like, saying stuff like that, like, he's one of the greatest people I've ever met, and ever had the pleasure to like be around. And so anybody that questioned his character, like, just people saying stuff to say stuff, and they got the narrative completely wrong. And the man's got way too many accolades, way too many people who love him to even like think like, man, like, bad character. Nah, come on, y'all tripping.
Literally. We could literally sit up here and talk about Melo for days, man. But we'll switch gears a little bit, man. We can talk some more about Melo offline for sure. But I kind of want to. I felt we've walked it all the way through, man. We talked about the time at Trinity and the hooping day. Talked about Baylor and through the lens and the Melo era, right? So now I feel like it's only fitting that we get into. And no disrespect to the Pistons, we're gonna show them some love as well. But we want to talk about the run this year with the Miami Heat. You had the opportunity to cover the team this past year, and obviously they went on an improbable run to the NBA Finals as an 8 seed, right? Yep. You graduated college from Baylor in 2021, correct?
Yes, sir.
So my question to you is, this is 2023. It's only 2 years removed from graduating from Baylor, and you just shot an NBA Finals. Like, what? Like, how do you reflect on that? Before we get into the specifics of the Miami Heat, right? Like, how crazy is that 2 years after you graduate college, you're in this position now to where, you just captured probably one of the most improbable runs in NBA history as an 8 seed going to the NBA Finals.
Dude, I'm kind of like, I mean, it's surreal. Like, it doesn't feel like it's real. It's like, God, what are you doing? Why are you letting me be here? Why are you letting me do this? Like, why me? And just trying to absorb every moment. And man, I get like goosebumps thinking about it. Like every moment from this run, like every listening to podcasts before we even started the Bucks seed, like, nobody even thought we were going to get a game on the Bucks. Yeah. Nobody thought we were going to get a game. Most people thought we were going to lose to the Knicks. Everyone thought we were going to lose the Celtics. We were given a 3% chance to win that series. And shit, man, we were in the second game of the play-in. Everybody thought we were done then. Everybody thought, yeah, DeMar's going to finally turn it on. Him and Levine got him. They done. Nope. But my career, like my 2-3 year career, whatever, has been such a sprint of just crazy things happening. And I'm so freaking grateful, man. Like, I've worked really hard and gotten really good at what I do, but like, I can't attribute the things I've been able to do to me. Like, it's God. Like, I'd be stupid to sit here and be like, yeah, like, look at me, look what I've done. But nah, man, I've just been hard work, perfect timing, and some really good people looking out for me, man. Been blessed is such a stupid understatement. But yeah, I mean, it was crazy. This run, oh my goodness.
Crazy. Yeah. So talk to me through the mindset, like, as the team is going through each round, right? Because I feel like, again, from the fans' perspective, watching from the outside looking this, all right, Giannis gets hurt. All right, they still got Middleton, they still got Drew, even though he's a little bit banged up. This can go either way, right? You beat the Bucks, and it's like, all right, you get to the Knicks, and you kind of walked it through just now, but talk me through being inside the locker room, right? Like, what is the mentality around the team as each round continue to progress? And I mean, I'm listening to obviously Jimmy and Kyle Lowry, even after game 4, when you guys are down 3-1 in the finals, and they're like, yeah, man, like we're going there tomorrow in Denver to win, right? It was never a single moment where I feel like Jimmy allowed the team to think that you guys weren't winning the championship. So just talk to me about just each round and kind of how it progressed. And from you being obviously shooting the team, what was going through your mind? Are you like, all right, be honest. Do you like we could really win this in the first round? Like, what are you thinking as far as like your guys' chances and like as it's going? Like, are you like, oh snap, like, all right, like we really about to do this? You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you processing that in your mind?
Yeah, man. I mean, after we like game 1, Giannis gets hurt a little bit, but Tyler goes down.
Right, right.
Obviously, we still won, but even then, it was like, oh my, like, what's gonna happen? But the energy in the locker room, like you mentioned, Jimmy, like, was so steady. Like whether we won the game or lost the game, it was in which obviously we didn't lose a whole ton until the end, but like it was like we good, like we good. All we got to do is what we do, and we good. Um, Once we won that Buck series, that game 5, that was one of the highlights of the year for sure. Just walking in that building, being like everybody going in, like all the guys were like, yeah, this is game 7. This is game 7. We ain't going home. This is it. They ain't coming back to our crib. And Jimmy's mindset in that game. Jimmy was, I don't want to speak on it too much, but he was so sick of like people saying like, yeah, Drew Holiday got him, like he's Drew Holiday's this and that. And he says, my man, he can't guard me. He can't guard me. And it showed that game. He started telling Drew, you can't guard me. And obviously Drew could not.
Went crazy that series. Federal. I'd never seen Jimmy look like that before.
Nuts. Oh, the 56-point game. Oh my goosebumps thinking about it. But when the huddle, this was like top 5 moment before the lob play that we drew up. The play originally was called for somebody else. And it was first option would have been Jimmy coming off for his midi. But the play was drawn up for somebody else. Jimmy's like, no, let's do it this way. I got it. He literally told Spo, like, this is how Drew's gonna guard me. And because he's gonna guard me like this, it's gonna be there. And Spo like laughing, was like, all right, let's do it. And walking in that huddle, Jimmy said something to Gabe and went out. Gabe put that thing on a rope, dropped a freaking dime. Jimmy, like, I mean, even though it was a layup, it was like falling down and just, oh my goodness, the energy. You know, the funny thing about it too, though, is I thought we were only down 1. So I hopped up filming it. I literally thought we won. my dumb ass. But I mean, Jimmy's walking off the court like, what? I'm there just like, I'm like, yeah. just try to stay steady. Like, yeah, they can't F with you, man. And the hooper in me just wants to like give him like a chest bump. Oh, I didn't want to admit it till now, but after we ended up winning that thing in overtime, and oh my, there's so much happening that game. Giannis was scared to shoot free throws, throwing the ball away. Oh my goodness! But as we're going in the locker room, everyone like, I'm like walking with the guys in, getting ready. Kevin comes in, he moshes with the guys. Gabe comes in, starts jumping around, and there's a clip that was literally on TV because I'm like right there filming. When Gabe jumps in, I like do like a half one jump. I was like, oh shit, wait, hold on. I gotta film. And oh, so funny. And so I got the shot. But dude, when we won that series, I was like, yeah, we can do this. We can do this. I mean, because they obviously like Giannis wasn't 100%, but that isn't they were the favorites. Like everyone was like, yeah, the Bucks got it. I mean, Budenholzer is this and that, Giannis, this and that, Chris Middleton finally healthy, Drew Holiday, this and that, Brook Lopez, who actually kind of cooked us, was on it like on his prime. Like they got too many shooters. I mean, the one game they beat us, they freaking hit 25 threes. So it was like, man, like, oh, they too tough. But when we won that, it was like, yo, we can do this. Thanks for beating us, Hawks, by the way. So we can do this. The Knicks series, we weren't really tripping. It was like, yeah, we got them. We just gotta do what we gotta do. Like we weren't like, it was like we like kind of contained Jalen Brunson. We got it. Like that's it. Celtics, man, that series, that was like revenge tour. Obviously we got a little comfortable after 3. They were able to get back in the series. But every game it was like, nah, we good. And Jimmy said it at the podium every time, but that was the mindset. Like we good. We good. Game 6, we had that crazy comeback. Obviously, just lucky bounce and they get back. But even going into game 7, vibes were high. Like at the shoot around before, they blasted music, everybody's yelling, Kevin's running around like yelling shit, and like, yeah, we got him. We good. The Celtics actually went and made a bunch of shirts for the finals, and we're selling them.
Wow.
Before that game started, they were like, "Bro, oh my goodness!" I made sure the guys like saw him. I was like, "Yo," like, and we went and beat the brakes off him. Caleb freaking Martin, man, that boy, cold, yo.
Oh,
Earned himself a Drake lyric off that one, or a J. Cole, for sure.
man.
Nuts.
I know Caleb Martin too, man. I played against him and Cody back in the 2014 Capital Classic. It's a DMV All-Star game, man. It's crazy. And I played against him back when he played for Team Loaded back in North Carolina, man. So it's crazy to see those guys. Also, they're either they're twins. I'm identical twins. So it's crazy to see what he was able to do. I want to ask you, I feel like everybody uses the term heat culture, right? And you have all these guys, that, the narrative is all these undrafted guys. You got, Duncan Robinson and Caleb Martin and Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, Haywood Highsmith, who I got to give some special love to because Haywood was on the podcast. So shout out to Haywood, man. It's a Maryland guy. We had him on earlier on in the season. So got to show him some love. That's my guy. But I want to ask you, right? Does heat culture, does that fall into the staff, the maybe the photographers, the guys outside of the basketball organization? And if so, like how does that apply to you, right? In your photography role? What does like heat culture mean to you? How does that, how do the people in the organization kind of hold all the staff members and the team accountable to, what it is to be a member of the Miami Heat? Because I feel like just that whole underdog mentality, that junkyard mentality, right? Being able to have all these undrafted guys and underdogs that you can plug into any role and then they go and succeed and play up to their capabilities or even above their capabilities, right? I think that's heat culture, right? It's an embodiment of the term. So just what does that term mean to you? And how do you think that you as a photographer fit into that heat culture?
Yep. Man, it's real. The biggest way I feel like it was shown was just the tightness of the staff and everybody. The coaches like lifting with them like a pregame, like everybody, they all in it together. They're like, we a team, we going. The way it stretches to the business side is like, yo, we could be good. Like a lot of NBA teams, like we're good, and this is me speaking truthfully about content. Like a lot of teams just like kind of do what they got to do, but we were like, no, we're doing it doesn't matter like if we're not how much we don't sleep. It doesn't matter how much we work. Like we are going to be the best freaking content team in the NBA, the hardest working and toughest. I'm not even gonna try to read the whole mantra, but like we're that's who we are, and that's like what our social media screams, and that's like with every photo, every video clip, it's like how can I got to get this perfect. How can I tell this team story in the perfect way? Yeah, I mean you feel it. It's like a confidence of like we got it. And the funny side of it is during the playoffs we had there's like a crew of ex-hoopers that either worked for the team or worked for players or are like best friends of players or whatever, and that were traveling. And we played pickup in every city. And when I tell you we played so intense, like it was me, a guy named Fee, who's Tyler's manager, I got Omar who trains Caleb and Cody and Dennis and J. Cole and a bunch of other guys, and then Mac and Ernie, who are Jimmy's guys, and a guy named Sonny who runs UD's marketing, and we were going, whether it was New York, Boston, Denver, we were playing pickup in every city, and just it was hilarious, bro. We were diving for loose balls to pick up, bro. Like it was like we feel this. Omar actually yelled at me because I like almost hit his foot. And which obviously could have really hurt him. He's like, man, why are you not having a loose ball? I was like, man, I'm in it. It was funny, but man, you feel it through the whole organization. And so the feeling of like winning that Eastern Conference championship, like on the plane after that game, like we really booked our flights to Denver before Game 7, which
got new.
Which also logistically we had to, because like the next day we had to be there for media day, so it wasn't like we physically had to book those flights. But a little like the fact that like the narrative they was like, oh, they cocky, kind of, but we also literally like had to book those flights. Yeah. I wonder who told somebody though. Is the funny part about that. Who snitched? But dude, it's real. Like that's why you like never really hear Woj ain't be talking about us, because we don't leak nothing. Like, it's us versus everybody. We don't care who you got, what we got. If you got 3 all-stars, shit, we got us. So it don't matter. And it goes all the way back to when we lost Game 7 last year, and Jimmy was like, "We had enough this year. We'll have enough next year. We'll be right back here where we were, but we gonna get it done." And we did. Yeah, man. It's like I mentioned before, like that Baylor culture, the Heat culture, and just both organizations I got to be a part of with those two, just dog mentality. Like we gonna win by any means. Yeah.
Like kind of moving on to the NBA Finals, right? Obviously, this is the biggest stage in the NBA, right? You're playing for all the marbles. Take me through the emotions, the mentality, just what was going through your head as you're shooting the finals. How do you prepare to shoot a finals game, right? What is the moment like? Because obviously, I feel like there's a different aura walking into the gym, right? The atmosphere in the arena, the way the fans come in, the way the players are approaching the game is a lot different in the NBA Finals. That's what everybody says. Just for me listening, you talk about the finals, man, the finals, right? So for you as a photographer, just talk me through that moment of being able to shoot the NBA Finals, being able to shoot guys like Jokic, who's obviously a generational talent in his own right. Talk me just through that whole experience.
Yeah, man. It's true. Like there's a different buzz in the arena. Like there's always kind of like a vibe you get walking to an NBA arena. Like it doesn't, even like off a back-to-back when you're tired, doesn't really get old. But like walking into the finals, like one, there's like, you get off the team bus and there's like 60 cameras right there. Normally, like in Denver, there wouldn't be a single camera. Like, sorry, they're a small market. People they be getting the coverage. But the finals, like 60 cameras, security, all this and that. You walk in, it's like an hour before the game, packed. There's obviously they got like the shirts on the chairs and all that, but dude, I'm just like shaking. Like, the energy is, oh my goodness. And Denver's fans were great. Obviously, our fans were great. But just mentally getting ready, like, yo, this is the finals. Like, this is it. Like, grew up watching this, and I'm sitting baseline for every finals game, all 5 of them. Like, nuts, man. Oh my goodness. Just sitting there, like, just trying to kill everything, get every moment, get every little second. I shot way more than I would for a regular season, trying to capture more memories, more elements, shooting. The guys lift pregame just to kind of like get their bodies warm, shooting all that, shooting in the locker room pregame. The guys kind of like getting ready. Gabe does this thing where he kind of like, he puts some headphones on and locks in with his eyes closed for a bit, like capturing that, like capturing them going through film. Just oh my goodness, man. Like the energy was electric, man. I mean, it was the coolest thing I've ever been a part of. Yeah, man. I mean, it's just that kind of like that. Like, let's go. Let's freaking go. And then it tips off. And the funny part about it is it's still just a basketball game. And I think that's what we tried to lock in on. And I think that's what got us so far in the playoffs. Is like, hey, like, yeah, it's a big stage. Yeah, it's the playoffs. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's the finals. But we just playing basketball, yo. Like, we just playing basketball. And yeah, obviously we didn't get it done. It wasn't our year. But yeah, man. I mean, that was goosebumps thinking about it, and the energy, the atmosphere, all of it. Man.
What would you say is your favorite moment from the finals? You know, whether that would be maybe a favorite picture, favorite interaction, favorite memory. What is your favorite memory from when you look back at that finals run?
Yeah, from the finals specifically, or the whole playoffs?
Let's go to the finals first, because we're going to ask you about the playoffs a little bit later. We got some quick hitters before we get you out. We're going to ask you. So this one is about the finals specifically.
But, obviously, game 2 was the best game there. Dude, there was man, just an energy we had when we came in, because obviously game 1 we shot really bad, and so the narrative, like poor Max, man, like they just kept asking these guys, like, what happened? What was going on? Why didn't you hit it? Why did you keep missing? And just because you know how some media people can be just idiots. And I was sitting with them shoot around before that game, and I was like, hey man, you sick of that shit yet? And he was like, yeah, I'm over it. It's time to shut him up. And when he came out in I think it was our first possession, just straps one and then straps another one like a couple plays later. I was like, yeah, we on. But my favorite moment, like specific moment, I mean that just got me hyped for Max. But my favorite moment was sadly after game 5 and being in the locker room, filming Spo's speech and UD's speech, and just seeing like the emotion. Favorite is like an interesting word to use there, but like most memorable, I think, is a better way to put it. Just like everybody crying, Spo being like, yeah, like this wasn't our year, but man, this might go down as one of my favorite teams ever. Like I love each and every one of y'all. Yeah, and I'm not going to get into UD's speech because he actually told us he didn't want it to be public, but I mean just the emotion of a 20-year career, for a 43-year-old vet, 42-year-old vet, however old he is, and knowing that he won't play a game ever again, just all flooding out of him. Man, I was like literally as I was filming it, like I was crying, like power, weight behind that. Maybe that shot will be in a documentary someday. I hope so. But for now, what he says stays under wraps. But man, yeah, that night was just like, but just the beauty of it too. Like, yeah, we just did this whole thing, got as far as anyone possibly could. But everyone's kind of like emotion, and they realize like, all right, man, what's next? And obviously, like it wasn't as like fired up that night because the season's over and everybody's like, all right, it's time to take a break. But even then, it's like, hey man, this is us. I love us. We ride for us, and yeah, that was an unbelievably special moment to get to be a part of, and be there.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it's sad thinking about.
Oh, yeah, I guess I could tell you're getting like choked up and emotions just thinking about that, man. And I feel like that's what's special about sports, right? It's like people don't understand how close you can get with guys, in a locker room and what those moments truly mean. You mentioned obviously not talking about what UD said, and I completely respect that. What if you could speak on anything that maybe Jimmy might have said or Kyle Lowry or any of the guys that maybe have been in that position before, right? Jimmy's obviously lost in the finals before. Kyle Lowry's been a champion. Spo has been a champion 2 times, right, in the past. What's the message to the younger guys, maybe like a Caleb or a Haywood Highsmith, who this is their first time, right? And, what do you tell guys in that moment about losing in the finals and how to rebound and just, what were some of the things that those guys were saying in that moment?
Yeah. I mean, the whole message was never forget this feeling. Never forget how they made you feel, how no one believed in you. I mean, because that's been like every person you just mentioned, that's been their story. Jimmy, another guy people hate on and absolutely don't believe in. Kyle, basically the same way. Spo somehow was still slept on. And it was just like, never forget how they made you feel, and never forget this feeling right now. And never forget like how much it took to get here. Because now they know what it takes to go and win 12 games, and the goal is obviously 16. But yeah, they were just like, man, like never forget this. Wherever you go, whether it's here or elsewhere, never forget it. But it was very much a like, man, no matter what happens, like we're family, and it's bigger than basketball. Yeah, never forget that feeling. Was kind of the overall message.
100%, 100%. When you look back at kind of just this season with the Heat, like, was there a player that you had the opportunity to get particularly close with or grow a relationship with? And if it was a player that you were able to, foster a relationship with, what would you say is the most meaningful part of that relationship, the thing you might cherish the most, or kind of just your favorite, or the thing that you value the most about the relationship, with whoever the guy may be?
Yeah. So, I mean, for people listening who don't know, my job was travel videographer, photographer. So I shot 96% of the road games. And so I was with the team basically every day. And so because it obviously like relationships with basically everyone grew. Literally everyone. There was, I mean, just something special about like them acknowledging me, just not being a camera. Like treating me as a person, like, yo, how are you doing? Oh, nice shoes, whatever it was, like, how's your day going? What's this been like for you? Just the guys caring enough to ask about me. Max was a huge one in that. Struce, just genuinely caring like about me as a person and looking out for me. He set me up with my barber. Just random stuff. Shout out Dayron. Yeah, there was got to build a relationship with Jimmy, and there was one moment that meant a lot. That so he doesn't like, he hates bandwagon. He hates it. And he hates like when people, like, basically the whole season nobody gave a frick about us. Yeah. Then we start winning the playoffs, and all of a sudden all this media want to cover us. They all want to come in, and so with the playoffs, the way the NBA does it, they give a lot of people locker room access post game. Like there's a lot of people that do. But Jimmy wouldn't let him in. Like, nah, who do you think you are? You weren't here in October. Why do you get to be here now? And there was a moment during the Celtics series. It was after we won Game 3, at home, and cameras were coming in. Jimmy kicks them all out, and he looks at me. Oh shit! Is he gonna kick me out too? Because obviously he has that power. He can do whatever he wants. He's Jimmy Butler. But he looks at me and he goes, Trey, like, you're lucky I like you. You good. And let me stay. And I got the film post speech and all the interactions, whatever. Like, but this, I mean, that just speaks to the culture of them welcoming me in. And I mean, there's countless other moments with the guys, and Omer Yurtseven, he's one of the younger guys, was on the G League. He lives in my building, so we get to spend a lot of time together, and all the guys. But Haywood's my dog. He sucks his spades. But
you said that too.
Yeah, please do. He posted a hand on his story the other day. It was just a trash hand. I'm like, man, what are you doing? It's $2. What are you doing? Anyways, but I genuinely like have like moments like that with like every guy on the team, where they looked out for me, welcomed me, treated me as more than just a camera. Yeah, when they didn't have to. But yeah.
I don't know why that didn't click in my head, but I feel like, you read the title, travel photographer and videographer. So that means you're traveling with the team just like you playing. Like, this is an 82-game schedule. That means 41 road games, right? I feel like that's one of the things that people talk about with the players, and all the road, the travel. I don't know why it didn't click in my brain, but like, talk about that, right? How difficult is that NBA travel schedule to keep up with? You got back-to-backs, or, 3 games in 5 nights, right? Like as somebody, granted, I mean, I feel like it's different, obviously, when you're not playing, but just talk about just the struggles of just for you, man. You away from your home and your crib, right? You traveling just like you suiting up for the games. Talk about that whole experience.
Dude, it's amazing, but it's gnarly. Because you I don't know what's a given trip. Let's say we had a back to back with Chicago and Denver, or Chicago and Detroit, sorry. Um, and so you fly in, we fly into Chicago the day before the game. The next morning we have a shoot around, then we play the game. Game ends. It's hurry up and pack up. We go into the bus, go into the plane, flying to Detroit. Landed in Detroit at what, 3 a.m. Wake up, shoot around the next morning. Game that night. Game ends. Hurry up and pack up. We're getting on a plane, flying back to Miami. Back to Miami, what, 5 a.m.? And that's all year. Living out of hotels, basically. I mean, I literally still have my suitcase sitting right here because I'm lazy. But like living out of suitcase. Luckily, I'm like a young single dude, so I don't have anybody like dependent on me. But it's gnarly, man. Like you're on the road once, twice a week for weeks at a time. I mean, the LA road trip is literally, it was like 10 days. Vegas is 2 weeks for summer league. Obviously, it's not regular season, but Northeast trip is a week. NorCal trip was a week. I mean, you're just always gone. And I'm not playing, but camera gear ain't light. So I got a backpack. I'm holding my camera. I got a Pelican case, and I got a suitcase. So I'm like bundling through, and obviously like that's the hard part of it, but I mean, it's so worth it. I mean, just being on the plane with these guys. I mean, we're staying in 5-star hotels. So I'm living in a lifestyle I can't afford for myself. So I'm not complaining by any means, but logging crazy hours. I was like, damn, I kind of wish I was hourly so I get all this overtime. But such a blessing, man. And I think that's kind of what I was talking about. Like the players acknowledge it. Like they know, like obviously we ain't playing in the games, but they know we working. Then it's like when a game ends, I'm like usually working hours into the night to like get everything either edited myself or sent back to our editor so we can put out if we got like a big moment or a big dub, like get some fire content out the next day. It's a freaking grind. It's not for everyone. It's really not. Like I think probably every camera guy thinks they could do it, and I bet everyone would want to try it. But I mean, it's for sure a grind. The coolest grind in the world, in my opinion. But it's a grind for sure.
I think you bring up a great point about, I feel like everybody has a dream of working in the NBA, and like you said, so can you kind of expound upon what makes it so difficult as far as that grind, right? Because I feel like there's always a lane between, all right, you got the freelance route, you got working for a team. So I'm going to ask you a follow-up after this, but I kind of want to talk about what you think is the most challenging part about, I guess what people don't really consider, right, when they're talking about working in the NBA, and doing this at the level that you do it at.
Yeah. I think for us at the Heat, the special thing is it's special. It's a blessing, but a curse. I mean, we just expect greatness with everything. With every video, every clip, everything that goes out. And so that literally means we got people working until 4, 5, 6 in the morning. And it's, I think I worked like 180 hours between 2 weeks, 1 week. It's just like 90-hour weeks. That's like whatever. Like that's whatever. You're working weekends, you're working holidays. I like was blessed to get Thanksgiving with my family and Christmas, but that's because my family for Christmas came to Miami because we had games on the 23rd and the 26th. And then I took a red eye to get home for Thanksgiving. Like, it's just like, you don't really get time with family. And like I mentioned before, like, yeah, there's an off season, but like when our season ended, it was like 8 days in the draft. And I'm not going to Sacramento, but our whole, somebody's covering for me, but they're already out in Sacramento for California Classic. And it's 2 weeks in Vegas. And then it's like, I think like 2 weeks, and then it's training camp, and then it's preseason. I mean, it's probably a little bit longer than 2 weeks after Vegas, but maybe a month. But it's just straight to it, man. And it's amazing, but I mean, it's a ride, man. You don't have much freedom. You don't. Like this job, it becomes your life. And if you love it and you're cool with that and you can survive it physically and mentally, hell yeah. But it's a lot of hours. I was blessed to have like a great team around me. Like my coworkers are awesome. But if they're not, oh boy, good luck. And a lot of people burn out. There's like a crazy amount of turnover in sports in general. But especially the NBA. I'm sure, I mean, the MLB is probably worse because they literally don't have days off. But yeah, it's the hardest blessing.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have traded it for the world.
That's great perspective. That's great perspective. How would you compare the freelance aspect of photography and sports photography to team photography? Because we had another photographer on earlier in the year, Amar Mutani. Shout out to my guy Amar. He does work for League Fits. He's kind of in the freelance space, so he just kind of shoots players. They ask him, "Hey, Amar, you want to come shoot this?" He just went to Paris with Jerry Randall for like Fashion Week, and that obviously has a different schedule, different level of demand and stuff like that. Do you prefer one to the other? How would you kind of compare the I guess pros and cons of each? And I guess for people listening, they might be asking like, what do you think I should do? If it's, would you advise somebody to do the freelance route versus trying to get on with the team? Like, how do you kind of weigh those two things?
Yeah. Shout out to Mar. That's my dog. Dude, it's a fine line. So basically the trade-offs is freelance. You got all the creative freedom in the world. Like it's your world. You can pick up whatever gigs you want, whenever you want. The struggle is getting those gigs. And can you get those gigs? And can you make enough money off those gigs to make a living? Luckily now we live in an age where remote work is the thing. And so honestly, my advice to a lot of people is pick up a remote job and grind on freelance. If you can. But off season is lit for freelance. Like, I mean, it's a million things going on. Like you said, Amar was just in Paris for Fashion Week. There was hundreds of professional athletes out there. If you get blessed to be a part of stuff like that, there's New York Fashion Week in September. Summer League, there's be a ton of guys out there. LA, New York are just lit for the NBA scene all summer long. Miami too. It's a lot of fun. But when it comes to the regular season, access goes away. But now there's like media outlets that can get you in the arena or you're shooting up in the boondocks, like, but you're still there. I'm not going to knock on it, but like, I'm the only camera on the plane. I'm the only camera sitting, like, there's other cameras baseline, but like, I'm like, freelancers aren't sitting baseline. Freelancers aren't getting locked. And so that's kind of the trade-off. Personally, like, I'm going to end up going freelance just because it's pace of life, the freedom of it, the ability to tap into a lot of different things. The joy there is beautiful, and getting to do like your way. Because working for a team, there's countless rules, and you got to do it their way, and then of course it's about them, not you. Which are kind of should never be about you, anyways. But it's two very different lines. And both have their pros and cons. Working for a team, obviously, you got consistent, you guaranteed work. Freelance can get a grind. Like you have a lot of gigs and you can have no gigs. But I think whatever, if you can get with a team, do it. But I feel like everyone who ends up working for a team, if they stick it out and climb the 10-year corporate ladder, good for them. If not, they end up going freelance anyways, or going, I don't know, into tech to make more money. But yeah, to be fully transparent, there's also not a ton of money on team side. Not a ton of bread there. Well, there is. They just don't pay it. But yeah, that's kind of some of the lines I see.
I got you. So last question I'll ask you before we kind of just get into some quick hitters and then get you out the door, because man, I know we could talk on here all day, man. You have a lot of great stories, but I want to be respectful of your time. You talk a lot on your Instagram, and we mentioned so much already on this podcast is about faith and your relationship with God. And I mentioned that as well. Like, I feel that's a big thing that I is a big part of my life. I want to use this platform to kind of be able to amplify that, let people know that, like, I think one thing that you said earlier about, no amount of hard work or hustle or muscle or get out the mud could get you in these type of doors, right? And God is the person who kind of provides us all with all these opportunities. And I want to just talk to you about just your faith, right? And being able to, wear that on your sleeve. How you've been able to stay grounded, right, in your faith in an industry like the NBA, where a lot of stuff going on, man. You mentioned on the road, you got clubs, parties, girls. You're in Miami. Lord knows what goes on out there, right? It's tough. There's a lot of distractions that come about. A lot of people that aren't living in that way, right? So, I just want to talk to you, man, about just your faith. How you've been able to continue to grow that, and what has allowed you to kind of continue to, be able to wear that on your sleeve in the way that you do, so that other people can kind of see what God has been able to do in your life.
Yeah, man. I mean, great question. It's not easy. The distractions are endless, and they always will be there. And whatever, especially like in the world like I've been blessed enough to be in, and the people I've blessed enough to be around, like it's whatever you want, whenever you want it. And the way like I've been able to stay steady, and obviously like I've not been completely like still like I'm a human. Like I've messed up countless times with whatever. But the line, man, is just remember like what actually matters and what's most important, and why you are where you are and how you got there and what got you there. And for me, at the end of the day, like there's too much God has done for me to not keep rocking and stay disciplined. And so I do stuff like I go the full summer without like having any alcohol, just to stay locked and disciplined. And I'm like a crazy extrovert, so I don't really need it anyways. But just doing things to stay focused on the main thing and what's most important, and what has long-term value, not what's most fun in the moment. Yeah, but it's not easy, man. I won't lie to you. Like being a Christian in kind of this fast entertainment space is to grind, and obviously there's a good amount of us, but it is not the most popular thing to be a Christian. But yeah, man. I mean, I owe it all to him, to God and Jesus, and I wouldn't be who I am, where I am, anywhere near it without him. And yeah.
Amen to that. Amen to that, man. That's definitely, something that I think a lot of people don't really talk enough about, is like you said, man, it's difficult. Me and my brother talk about this all the time because he's out in LA, and shout out to my guy, man. Him and his girl been dating for I think 8 or 9 months now. Just moved to LA and got a new job in the NBA, and there's nothing but temptation, man. But I look up to him, and I honor him a lot, man, because it's how he's been able to just keep God first, and that's kind of been able to ground him in his relationship and his habits, and just not being in the wrong places at the wrong time and allowing temptation to get the best of him. You know what I'm saying? So I always love having these type of conversations, because I think that there's going to be somebody on this podcast that's going to be blessed, from hearing this, and is going to be able to kind of live their truth a lot more loudly. So I definitely, appreciate that commentary for sure. But before we get you out the door, man, definitely got some quick hitters. We'll end it off on a lighter note here. What would you say goes into taking the perfect picture?
Goes into taking the perfect picture?
Yeah.
Whew. Composition and timing. As far as basketball goes, obviously, if you're doing a shoot, you can line it up however you want to line it up. But as far as perfect basketball picture is composition and shooting it at the right time, making sure the dude's mouth isn't open when he's shooting or whatever, and make sure they don't look goofy.
How do you do that, though? I feel like they're moving so fast. You just snapping the you know what I'm saying? Like,
I let that shutter fly, man. Aim for the. Hope you get it. Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. Like, playing basketball helped me with that for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, what is the favorite photo you've taken? I guess the favorite photo you've taken from the playoff run, or if that's too difficult, you can give us, maybe two or three that you say, like, damn, like I snapped on that joint right there.
Yeah, shoot. There's one I took of Jared Butler during our national championship parade that I love. There's like confetti falling around him. He's holding mics doing interviews. He got the national championship hat on. From this run, I got a dope Jimmy every game walks out of the locker room without his jersey on, and then goes and sits on the bench when like the lights are off and stuff, and puts it on the bench. And got a dope one of him like him putting it on there, which is sweet. And then yeah, I got another one during the finals of Spo. He was drawing up a play during game two. And like everyone's like locked in looking at him. Locked in about whatever you can call. Those are my top, and there's too many. But off the top of my head, those are the first three coming to mind.
Okay. Now obviously you're a hooper too, so you know how you got it going, right? You got a game. You might be you make couple. Oh yeah, I'm hot tonight. I got it going. Like that was the one. You might be in the press conference like, yeah, I was on one tonight. Do you get that same feeling as a photographer if you catch a picture where you go, oh yeah, that's the one. Like that's gonna do it right there. Like, do you get that same emotion like with taking pictures?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, yo, I got that. Oh my God. With video too. Like, oh, I got that. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Oh, that's the one. There was a moment Jimmy winked at the bench during the Celtics series. It was when he shot a three, and it was one that went front rim and bounced in. That basically sealed the game for us. He ran back, winked at the bench. And I was like, I got the shot. I was actually like the only one who got the shot. Like ESPN and Bleacher Report, all these people like licensed the footage from the Heat so they could like use it. That was, yeah. When you got it, you got it. You
Right.
feeling it.
How would you compare like the emotions, like as far as like, because I feel like I was talking to one of my homeboys about this, about like, you know, when you retire from basketball and still having to get that like fix, that competitive edge, right? As far as like, you know what I'm saying, you still got that in you, inside of you. So how would you compare that to, you know, I guess how do you get that feeling as a photographer? What are some of the things that kind of gets you going, or it might like, you know, can kind of scratch that competitive itch, you know, when taking pictures?
Yeah. Well, I mean, being in the NBA, there's so many cameras and like everybody's shooting everything that happens. And so for me, it's like, how can I shoot it best? How can I make it to where my shot documents this moment the best, makes the most noise, whatever. It's like literally, I'm just trying to have every shot be the best shot of whatever happened, whether it's a jump shot of Jimmy or something in the locker room or whatever. Same way you're trying to win a game, I'm trying to win content. It's kind of the Heat mentality of content. But yeah.
Okay. Give me your top 5 best dressed players in the league.
Woo. I'm biased because he's my dog, and I did Fashion Week with him in New York in the fall. But Jeremy Grant coming in at one.
He got shout out Jeremy. Shout out Jeremy. Wait, where is he at? You say is he 5? Is he 1? Where is he at?
One. I got him at one.
It's
Showing
fair.
love to my dog.
It's
Shay. Shy, I actually don't know what to say. He's got to be. He's too clean. I mean, I think he just won like GQ best dressed. Or
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
I can't be silly and not have him up there. Dude, Frank Jackson, sleeper. That boy got fits. That boy got
cut right there. He has a unique swag too. He dresses. He don't dress similar to anybody. He has his own look.
Mm-hmm. He's like, I got what I want to wear. I'm gonna wear it.
Yes.
And he makes it fly. Shoot, foe, Kuz.
Okay.
He be doing a lot, but he does it well. And I think it's the confidence he has to wear some of the stuff he wears that gives the respect from me. I gotta give 5 to Boy Wonder. I gotta get T Hero in there. Tyler. That boy drips out. A lot of people hate on his swag, but he doesn't give a frick. He'll show up in a white beater and some jeans. Like he gonna do his thing regardless. And one of the swaggiest dudes I've ever been around. But yeah.
I respect it. Man. So last quick hitter, man. You know, I can't have a member of the Miami Heat organization on the pod and not ask this question, man, because you know it's in the media right now. Everybody's talking, everybody's buzzing, you know, about Dame might be coming to South Beach. You know what I'm saying? If Dame comes to South Beach, you know what I'm saying? Are y'all winning it all next year? Like, you know, what's that gonna look like?
Oh man, I don't know if I'm allowed to speak on this. We will be a very good basketball team no matter who's on the roster. I might have to leave it at that. we're gonna be scary regardless, but adding an all-time great would not hurt.
I respect the answer. I respect the answer. I respect the answer. We'll chop it up offline about the prospects. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get nobody in trouble on the podcast. Nah, man, this is great, man. The last question we always ask all of our guests. Shout out to All the Smoke, because we stole this segment from them. Who is one person that we should have on the What's in Your Bag podcast? And whoever you say, you got to help us out, get them on, give us a little assist. You know what I'm saying? This could be another photographer, this could be a stylist, a designer, this could be a player. Anybody who you think has a dope story to tell and that people would, benefit from hearing it. Who would that person be? And whoever it is, man, just give us the nice assist.
Man, my mind, I got 3 names in my mind.
You don't have to pick one. You know what I'm saying? If you want to get in your point guard bag, Kyle Lowry bag, and give us a couple of assists, we're all for it. We're all for it. You know what I'm saying?
I'll give you 2. I'm gonna give you my boy Josh Martin. He spent the last year as the team photographer for the Pistons. He's my best friend out in Detroit. He's rocking out. And then I'm gonna say Sonny Piplani. He's the marketing manager for UD. Doing a lot of marketing for some of the Heat guys, and he's done work with D Wade, Lee Ning. He's the man. One of my good friends. But I'll throw that lob or that assist. Sorry, that's not a lob for y'all. Try to get them fellas up on here. Yeah, man.
Appreciate that, man. Well, I always end off every episode, giving flowers. You know what I'm saying? And number one, this has been a crazy conversation. We've been on here for it was about hour 45 minutes. Didn't even feel like it. Just the stories that we've told on here. This has been a great conversation, man. So first of all, I just want to say thank you for coming on. Thank you for your time, man. I know the off season is a sacred time. You couldn't be doing anything else. So I definitely want to say thank you for taking time out to come on the podcast. I know the people who are going to watch this, they're going to be able to take something from it and learn something from it and be inspired from it. Number one. Number two, I want to say just shout out to you, man, for just being, a man of God out here who's living the right way. And, I think it shows that, that you're doing something right, obviously, because God continues to bless you and you continue to, give back to others with your mentorship program and just be inspiration to people who are coming up behind you. And, that's the main thing that I really value with this podcast is getting quality people on, to be able to tell stories and uplift the next generation of people coming behind them. So I just want to say shout out to you, for that. We're giving you our love from all facts. Congrats on what you've been able to accomplish thus far, shooting the Heat in the finals this year. It's been a pleasure to watch, and we'll obviously be continuing to watch you, in the years forward and where you go with your career, man. So my guy, appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate the kind words. Appreciate you having me on. It was a pleasure. Anytime, let's rap. We can tell the real stories.
No, facts. We definitely got stay in contact for sure, man. I definitely got to hear some more of that Melo story for sure, man. Definitely got to chat it up about that for sure. I know, off air, the ones that we could tell, without the folks listening. You know what I'm saying? So we'll definitely stay in contact for sure.
Love it, man. Appreciate you, man. Pleasure.
All righty, guys. This has been another episode of the What's in Your Bag podcast presented by Bet Online. Like I said in the beginning, man, make sure, if you're still listening to this podcast, go ahead and tap that subscribe button. You know what I'm saying? This has been crazy amount of gems, stories. You're not getting these stories nowhere else, man. So go ahead and tap that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. It goes a long way. This is going to be my guy, Pull Up Tay, on the outro. We'll catch you guys next time, folks. Peace.
Suave. I've been in my bag for a while, I'm invincible. Story of a young boss, grinding shit get critical. Calling on my bros one time, cause you special. I had some hoop dreams of right rounds for my mentor. Every target that I shoot is on point like a pencil. Different route, change relationships, I'm so sorry. Came up from the trenches and I made it, I say hardly. Now